The notification sound pierced through Westbrook Academy's library at exactly 3:47 p.m., shattering the sacred silence. Within seconds, 847 phones buzzed simultaneously, screens lighting up with the same image that would destroy 4 lives before dinner. Shyamara Delua stood half-dressed in a bathroom stall, her privacy violated in the most calculated way possible. But nobody understood in those first chaotic moments that Shyamara wasn't a victim caught off guard. She was a hunter who had baited her trap for 7 months, and the photograph spreading like wildfire was exactly what she needed to trigger the most devastating revenge Westbrook Academy would ever witness. By 3:48 p.m., while classmates whispered and pointed, Shyamara's fingers danced across her laptop keyboard with the precision of a concert pianist. By 4:15 p.m., Caden Blackwood's entire digital existence would evaporate. And by midnight, 3 prominent families would be filing restraining orders against their own sons. 7 months earlier, January's bitter cold wrapped Westbrook Academy, when Shyamara first walked through those intimidating oak doors. The scholarship student from nowhere, wearing thrift store clothes that screamed poverty to the designer-clad elite. Her ancient laptop, held together with duct tape, marked her as an easy target. The library became her sanctuary. Every day at 2:30 p.m., she claimed the same corner table, positioned to observe everything. Students dismissed her presence like furniture, never realizing those downcast eyes were memorizing patterns, cataloging weaknesses, documenting crimes. Caden Blackwood noticed her on day 3. 6 feet 2 inches of inherited arrogance wrapped in a lacrosse team jacket. His crew followed. Jackson Rivers with his wrestler's build and dead eyes, Dmitry Volov with tech company connections providing illegal tools, and Ethan Nakamura, whose artistic talents created devastating memes that destroyed reputations overnight. Their first interaction unfolded exactly as Shyamara predicted. Caden approached her table, shadow falling across her textbook. Interesting choice of study spot. Most scholarship kids know better than to claim territory in the main library. Shyamara's fingers paused for exactly 2 seconds. I didn't realize seats were assigned. The laugh that rippled through Caden's crew held only anticipation of entertainment. Dmitry already had his phone out. Technically true, Caden continued, picking up her textbook. But there's what's technically allowed and understanding the social contract. You understand contracts, being a scholarship student and all. She let her shoulders slump, perfecting defeated posture. I'll find somewhere else tomorrow. Smart girl, Jackson added, cracking his knuckles. We'd hate for your scholarship to become complicated. What they couldn't see was the small smile hidden by her dark hair. They'd taken the bait exactly as anticipated. Days turned into weeks as Shyamara perfected her victim role. She ate alone, walked with her head down, avoided confrontations. Teachers noticed but didn't intervene because Caden Blackwood's family had donated the new science wing. But every moment served a larger purpose. Her old laptop contained military-grade encryption software. Every keystroke captured data from the school's network. Every interaction documented with forensic precision. The first breadcrumb came 3 weeks in when Shyamara deliberately left a flash drive in the computer lab. Ethan found it within minutes. The files appeared to be diary entries, password protected with password 123. Shyamara had crafted each entry with psychological precision, mixing genuine details with fabricated vulnerabilities. Entry after entry detailed supposed fears, fictional financial struggles, fake photos of a rundown apartment she'd never lived in. This is gold, Dmitry breathed. She's handed us everything we need to destroy her. Caden examined the screen. Transfer the files to our private server. They copied everything, never questioning why someone would use such obvious protection, never wondering why entries seemed perfectly aligned with their interests. February brought escalation. Shyamara documented everything with hidden cameras she'd placed during janitorial shifts. A work-study job providing perfect cover for installing surveillance equipment. Black roses appeared in her locker on Valentine's Day, painted petals smelling like decay. The card read, "Nobody loves charity cases. Give up and go home." She carried them through the hallway, letting everyone see her humiliation. But she'd preserved one petal in an evidence bag, the chemical composition traceable to an art supply store where Ethan had purchased supplies. The pattern continued through spring. Food spilled accidentally. Homework stolen. Rumors spread. Shiamura endured it all, knowing every moment was being recorded for presentation in a courtroom. May arrived with standardized testing, providing cover for Shiamura to accelerate her digital infiltration. She'd gained access to Dimitri's coding projects by capturing keystrokes with trained peripheral vision. The private server revealed horrors. Hundreds of photos of female students taken without consent in locker rooms and bathrooms. Videos of unconscious students at parties. Years of systematic predation documented with pride. Mixed among evidence were their own communications, group chats discussing drugging techniques, rating girls, planning assaults with casual efficiency. They documented their guilt so thoroughly that prosecutors would later call it the most self-incriminating evidence they'd ever seen. Shiamura copied everything to multiple secure servers, including one maintained by the Athena Collective, a group that had reached out 6 months before she transferred to Westbrook. June brought finals and strange tension. Caden's crew sought something dramatic to cap their senior year. Planning sessions happened in Dimitri's Tesla, never detecting the microscopic transmitter Shiamura had placed during a staged collision. Bathroom photos are classic, Ethan argued. But we need an angle that goes viral beyond the school. What about during the Academic Excellence Assembly? Jackson suggested. She always uses that second-floor bathroom. Dimitri pulled up school blueprints. There's a maintenance access panel above that stall. Too risky, Caden decided. We need something organic, less planned. The solution came when Principal Morrison scheduled library network maintenance for September 15th, requiring students to leave devices in lockers while using temporary stations. It created a window where surveillance would be minimal and alibis ironclad. Shiamura listened through summer break, already preparing countermeasures. The maintenance panel Dimitri identified was equipped with her own cameras, positioned to capture anyone using that vantage point. September 15th arrived. The library maintenance provided perfect cover as students cycled through computer stations. Shiamura entered at 3:30 p.m., worked for 12 minutes, then excused herself at 3:42. The second-floor bathroom was empty. She entered the third stall with the broken lock she'd ensured remained unfixed. Above, Dimitri positioned his phone through the gap, hands shaking with excitement. What he couldn't see was Shiamura's face reflected in the mirror she'd installed weeks earlier. Couldn't see her small smile as she heard his breathing change. Her fingers moved with deliberate slowness, giving him time to think he was capturing what he'd planned, while her cameras recorded every crime. The shutter sound was almost silent, but Shiamura heard it clearly. She continued just enough to ensure damaging distribution, but nothing more serious. The balance had to be perfect. At 3:45 p.m., Dimitri sent the image to their group chat. Package delivered. Operation Yearbook complete. Within seconds, Caden uploaded it to their anonymous confession page. Jackson posted it to 3 platforms using burner accounts. Ethan was already working on edited versions. At 3:47 p.m., 847 phones received the image simultaneously. Chaos unfolded exactly as predicted, but something else was happening in the digital realm. The image contained hidden metadata that activated when shared, code collecting every share, view, and comment, tracing back to sources with forensic precision. At 3:48 p.m., Shiamura returned to her computer station. Her fingers flew across the keyboard with fluid grace. The first attack was surgical. Caden's trust fund began hemorrhaging money through transactions he appeared to authorize. Every charity focused on sexual assault survivors received donations in his name, complete with messages admitting crimes. The beauty lay in legitimacy. Every transaction followed proper protocols. Legal frameworks of irrevocable charitable donations meant money could never be recovered. By 3:52 p.m., every video Jackson recorded of unconscious girls began uploading to his social media, tagged with relatives spanning 3 generations. His grandmother, the federal judge who'd protected him, received a comprehensive package including audio of Jackson laughing about drugging her favorite intern. Meanwhile, Ethan discovered every college admissions office simultaneously received his hidden work, manipulated photos turned into degrading memes, deep fakes of teachers, for years of unchecked predation. MIT's rejection came fastest, citing moral turpitude clauses. At 3:57 p.m., every line of code Dimitri ever wrote began publishing to public repositories, including backdoors in his father's company software, keyloggers for stealing passwords, detailed comments explaining how he planned to hurt specific individuals. Company stock would drop 40% within hours, at 4 p.m. Something extraordinary happened. A live stream appeared on the school's official website, impossible to shut down. The feed showed a figure in shadow. "My name is Ryan Nakamura," the voice began. "I need to tell you what my brother and his friends did to my girlfriend before she took her own life last summer." The confession detailed parties where drinks were spiked, photographs taken of unconscious victims, a scoring system turning sexual assault into sport. He had dates, times, recordings of his brother bragging about each conquest. Shiamura continued typing as chaos erupted. Students frantically checked phones to find their own secrets exposed. Not everyone, just those who participated in or enabled systematic abuse. That by 4:15 p.m., Caden Blackwood stood frozen, watching his world evaporate. Trust fund transfers exceeded $3 million. His father was already calling with volcanic fury. But worse was the email from Harvard at 4:18 p.m., revoking his early admission permanently. Running Footsteps announced school security, but they seemed confused about who to apprehend. Principal Morrison appeared, face flushed. Everyone remained calm. "We're investigating cyber attacks. Police have been notified." Shiamura finally looked up, making eye contact with Morrison for the first time. Something in her gaze made him step backward involuntarily. She closed her laptop with deliberate slowness. "Principal Morrison," she said clearly, "I believe you'll want to check your email. The FBI has questions about your handling of sexual assault complaints over the past 6 years." Morrison's phone buzzed. Color drained from his face. Around them, more phones lit up as parents received comprehensive packages documenting their children's crimes or victimization. Caden charged toward Shiamura. "You did this. I'll kill you." His momentum stopped when Shiamura shifted her stance slightly, something in her posture suggesting capabilities none had imagined. "Who are you?" Dmitri asked hollowly. "No freshman could do this." Shiamura smiled for the first time. "You're right. I'm not a normal freshman." She pulled out her phone, showing an image of another girl physically identical but fundamentally broken. The timestamp showed 3 years ago at a different private school. "This is Serafina Delua, my twin sister. 3 years ago, she attended Ridgemont Prep, where a group like yours documented her breakdown through cruel pranks and privacy invasions." The library became completely silent except for distant sirens growing closer. The photographs they took were distributed to every college she applied to, every family friend, every potential employer. She tried to end her life 4 times before finally succeeding in something else, becoming someone new who could never be hurt that way again. Shiamura swiped to another photo showing someone who might have been Serafina but transformed beyond recognition. Lysander Chun is happy now. He's studying neuroscience at Johns Hopkins, researching trauma recovery. But I never forgot the boys who broke my sister so thoroughly she had to become someone else to survive. That wasn't us, Ethan protested. We didn't even know about Ridgemont. No, but you knew their ringleader. You've been exchanging tactics with him for 2 years, sharing photos like trading cards. His name is Maximilian Sterling, and he's currently being arrested in Boston thanks to evidence I provided this morning. The Athena Collective, Dmitri breathed. You're part of the Athena Collective. Shiamura's silence spoke volumes. The Athena Collective existed between rumor and legend, survivors who turned trauma into weapons against predators who thought themselves untouchable. The library doors burst open as federal agents entered. Special Agent Sarah Chun led the team. Caden Blackwood, Jackson Rivers, Dmitri Volov, Ethan Nakamura. You're under arrest for violations of federal laws regarding distribution of intimate images without consent, conspiracy to commit sexual assault, and 37 other charges. The arrests happened quickly but not quietly. Caden fought until restrained, screaming about his rights and his father's influence. Jackson went limp, seemingly grateful someone had finally stopped him. Dmitri typed frantically until agents confiscated his phone. Ethan just cried as they were led away. Shiamura opened her laptop again, typing commands that began reversing some damage. Not all. Crimes would stand and consequences follow. But she selectively restored certain things, allowing families to survive. What? Principal Morrison asked in handcuffs. Why show mercy after destroying everything? Because destruction without purpose is just vengeance. And vengeance doesn't heal anything. This was about stopping predators and protecting future victims. The money will help survivors. The evidence will prevent future crimes. The consequences will deter others who thought themselves untouchable. Parents arrived. Senator Blackwood entered like a storm system until he saw FBI agents and understood his influence ended where federal jurisdiction began. "You'll pay for this," he told Shiamura, though the threat lacked conviction. "I'll find out who you are. I'll destroy you." Special Agent Chin stepped between them. "Senator Blackwood, I'd strongly advise against threatening a federal witness whose cooperation is essential to cases spanning 12 states." Mrs. Rivers arrived differently, walking slowly like someone approaching an expected funeral. She looked at her son in handcuffs, then at Shiamura, and apologized. "I knew something was wrong with him. I saw the signs but chose to believe he'd grow out of it. How many girls suffered because I was too cowardly to confront my own son?" Shiamura studied her before responding with unexpected gentility. "He's 17, young enough to change if he gets proper intervention. Make sure he gets real therapy, not the kind focusing on avoiding consequences, but the kind addressing why he thought hurting others was acceptable." As evening approached and the library emptied, Shiamura found herself alone with Agent Chun, who'd stayed behind. "The collective is impressed," Chun said, producing credentials suggesting deeper connection. 7 months of perfect preparation, execution leaving no traces back to you, and you avoided any prosecutable actions. Even the photo incident was engineered to make you purely a victim. "I learned from the best. My mother spent 3 years teaching me digital warfare before she died. Said it would be more useful than any martial art in the modern world. The question now is what you do next. Westbrook won't survive this scandal." Shiamura considered while packing her belongings. There are other schools, other predators, other victims waiting for someone to show them fighting back is possible. Chun smiled slightly, producing a card with only a phone number. "When you're ready for the next assignment, call this number. The collective has been watching, and we think you're ready for something bigger." 3 months later, Westbrook Academy existed only as a cautionary tale. The building was sold to developers, its legacy too poisoned to inherit. 23 girls had come forward with stories dating back a decade. Their voices finally heard. Caden Blackwood accepted a plea deal, including 2 years in juvenile detention and 10 years supervised probation. His father resigned from the Senate. Jackson Rivers received intensive therapy at a residential facility, his mother visiting weekly. Dmitry Volov faced federal charges keeping him imprisoned until his mid-20s. Ethan Nakamura testified against former friends in exchange for reduced charges, his artistic talent finding new expression in assault prevention campaigns. Principal Morrison served 18 months for obstruction of justice and conspiracy to conceal felonies. Investigation revealed he'd taken $400,000 in bribes over 6 years. But the most significant change came from copycat actions. Within 6 months, similar operations exposed predator networks at 15 other schools, all following Shiamura's blueprint. Shiamura herself disappeared from public view, though some claimed to spot her at different schools around the country. Always in the library, always typing on an old laptop that looked harmless enough that on a rain-soaked evening in December, a new student walked into Preston Preparatory Academy's library, an elite boarding school with whispered stories of a secret society, operating with impunity for decades. She found a corner table, pulled out a battered laptop held together with duct tape, and began typing. She wore thrift store clothes and kept her head down when the school's golden boys walked past, their laughter sharp with cruel potential. They dismissed her immediately as another scholarship student who wouldn't last the semester, never noticing the small smile as she listened to them plan their next conquest. Her screen showed an encrypted message from someone identified only as XD. 7 months minimum. Make it count. She typed back a single word. Always. In her laptop's reflection, barely visible unless you knew to look, was a small tattoo on her wrist. A tiny owl that might have been decorative or might have been something more. The same symbol every Athena collective operative wore. The Preston boys continued laughing, oblivious to the countdown that had already begun. Somewhere in a federal detention center, Caden Blackwood woke from nightmares about typing sounds and notification alerts, understanding finally that the most dangerous predators were the ones you never saw coming. and in a quiet apartment 3 states away. Xiomara Delua opened her laptop to find 17 new cases waiting for review. 17 more schools where victims needed someone to show them justice was possible even when the system failed. She selected the next target methodically, already calculating the 7 months it would take to destroy another network of predators who thought their money made them invincible. The war against systematic abuse would never truly end. But for the first time in generations, the predators had learned to feel fear. They checked over their shoulders in libraries, worried about quiet students with old laptops. They hesitated before taking photos, wondering if this might be the one that destroyed them. Because sometimes the girl you humiliated in September was engineering your complete destruction by May. Sometimes the scholarship student you dismissed as weak was documenting every crime you committed. And sometimes, just sometimes, the hunter looked exactly like prey until the moment the trap snapped shut.